Eugene.
How are you?
Dude.
Always a pleasure to see you.
It's a pleasure. It's been a long time. I think about a couple months now.
Yeah, man.
I used to work for this motherfucker, man. He's a legend. Good dude. Shredder guitar player. In a very, very renowned cover band, GoodMan Fiske. I wish we had Fiske here too, but he's been awfully busy with his baby and his brand new house.
Yeah,
congratulations. Beautiful. What have you been up to?
Well, the band is still doing good. We got a killer summer schedule lined up. A lot of gigs on the books, a lot of weddings. Ryan and I are doing a lot of duos too, mixed in.
Yeah.
So yeah, the band, it's going great right now.
So I've always had a few questions for you, considering you and Ryan have been friends for what, almost 20 years now?
Yeah, probably a little bit more, but yeah.
Is that how long the band's been going on? 20 years?
Almost. So we're working to our 20th year, which will be around mid-December of this year. So 2025, mid-December, that will be about 20 years since our first actual gig.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so 19 years and counting.
Dude, that's cool. That's wicked. How did you come across Ryan? Was that like a mutual thing? Did you guys know each other from beforehand?
So we had met originally in high school. He had band class and I had band class. And in junior high and high school, that was one of the electives. So it would be like an everyday type class. And so we met in school and we were always friendly with each other, in school. And then after school, after graduation, I had a metal band. I was looking for a drummer. And my singer, who went to school with us as well at the time, he suggested Ryan. Ryan came over. Everything was pretty good. And then, we did a gig with them. And at the time, though, that band that I was in was about 4 or 5 years old. So it was starting to feel somewhat stagnant. And so, Ryan and I decided, hey, let's try a new direction. And that's what we did. We completely went a different direction.
And that's fucking sweet. Meeting somebody in high school, you already had that connection with them, and just getting together and creating. That was the fun part for me. When I met my guys, I got linked up through a friend of mine. He's like, dude, you call this kid up. He wants to play death metal. I said, sure, fuck it. Let me hear it. And from there, when I met the guys, it was like that. We clicked. And it's awesome. And we didn't have the previous connection like you did with Ryan. But either way, having that sense of just, let's make music together. That commonality and that common ground, it's just fucking sweet, dude.
So when Ryan had proposed, let's go a new direction, his father was in a cover band. And so he kind of exposed me to that, his dad was a singer in a band and, that they were going out there playing at bars for money. And so, it sounded intriguing. So we got the opportunity to go see him and I kind of got to see what it was all about. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so, we spent a few months learning, a couple dozen songs. And then we booked a local gig at a local bar, for, I don't know, maybe $150, $200 tops.
That's you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, start somewhere. Exactly. And, Ryan and I both knew a lot of people from high school. And so just brought some people out and that was pretty much it. That was the goal. It's just, bring some people out, entertain them. And then.
What were you covering initially? What was the first set list you guys had? Because it had to be only an hour? Well, probably maybe less, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't as formatted as much. It was just kind of play as much as you can. But some of the original songs that I do remember was I think we learned Stone Temple Pilots. It might have been either Plush or Creep was one of the original ones. Black from Pearl Jam was one of the original ones. So they were more rock oriented for sure. Yeah. And this was also a transition for me because.
And what year was this around? Give me a time frame. How far back we talking?
2005.
Oh, so these songs are still
2004, 2005.
These songs are still within a 10-year range.
Exactly. So they weren't considered classics as they are now. You know what I mean? The 90s. Now it's 2025. So, you're going 30 years.
Right.
At the time it was only 10. these songs were commonly still on the radio, and there was even new rock songs coming out. Three Doors Down was still coming out with some of their stuff, so there was still more like a rock oriented stuff. I think we played like a couple Creed songs. And,
that's cool. That's cool. And seeing it from my perspective, when I worked with you, hearing you guys play Creed, and after rediscovering them, it's like, oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah,
you just got to hammer this home, dude, because everybody's gonna love it. They're gonna be shit ton of teenage kids. There's gonna be a shit ton of fucking adults that are all in the back, and then there's the kids that are 25 plus seeing you guys screaming these songs drunk and loving it. It's great.
Yeah,
it's
cool. Yeah, and then we learned at the time we learned other like classics like Skinner and stuff. So we had like a nice mix, but it was like rock oriented, and it was a transition for me because I was coming from a metal band, and now I'm doing an acoustic duo. So you know what I mean? Just I had to buy an acoustic guitar and kind of went down in that direction. And so for that first kind of year, that was kind of what it was him and I were learning as many songs as we can, and trying to play as much as we could. And it just kept going and really taking off.
Now I want to take a break from you and Ryan real quick. Talk about you for a little bit. What were your guitar influences? Considering you're saying you're coming from a metal background, how far back are we talking? Like 80s thrash, 90s new metal? Like, is it that range?
It was. So it was like a lot of like the newer stuff, at that time, which was not new, but it was newer. It was like Nirvana and like Bush, Papa Roach. They were like the newer songs, and of course Metallica. And then I was in like Ozzy, his 90s and newer stuff, and then the older stuff. And then I started getting into like Van Halen, and started getting into like more lead guitar, because that was what really like got me into the instrument. Some of these songs that I was learning when I first started, Red Hot Chili Peppers and all, I loved playing them songs. But as I started getting them, then I started venturing into like some of the more challenging stuff, like trying to tackle like Van Halen Eruption and like the Freebird solo, and so I started going in that direction. And then when I started learning more Metallica stuff, so I would learn a lot of the riffs, but with the solos then too,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And how were you learning these songs? Was it all through books? Was it all like, was there
much different than
I was going to say, hey, dude, the internet now, I got lucky. When I first picked up the guitar, YouTube was a thing, and it was fucking awesome because I could figure out how to play Pink Floyd or Alice in Chains or whatever I wanted to learn at that day. Now it's like, dude, you can literally look up a 2-second video. It's like a guy showing you the tab and then him playing it, and it's done.
And all of it. So some of the original stuff, yes, I do remember buying books. Like I do remember having the Nirvana Nevermind book, which was like it had all the stuff transposed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't fully. There was some errors in there, like as you would try to play, like wait, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's somebody else's interpretation of it that did their best to transpose it. So yeah, some of the early books I remember was that, and the Black Album book, and I had like a Kirk Hammett and the Art of the Solo book.
Oh, that's cool.
I have even gotten like single sheet music. Like I remember getting the single sheet to like Stairway to Heaven. And back then you would have to, if you wanted to go on the internet, you would have to like dial up. And so you would use a phone line to connect the internet. And
that's wild.
Mm-hmm. And so when you would connect, it almost sounded like a fax machine sound.
Yeah.
And then you would be on, and everything would be running, to today's standards, slow. But at the time, it was, revolutionary. And so there were a couple tablature websites that I remember, like Taborama. Was one that you can go to. And again, it just had all people's interpretations. So sometimes it was incomplete. Sometimes people were real detailed. You'd be lucky if you came across a really detailed one. But the time difference in what it was, I do remember like something that stands out. When I wanted to learn Freebird, it's a long song. Yeah. And so I had to download it off of Napster overnight. and I think it was like a 17-hour download.
Oh, shit, dude.
At like 2.5K a
Could you imagine somebody had to pick up the phone for a call and it's your computer running and you're like, what the fuck, man?
Oh, that is another thing that did my parents did get a couple high phone bills. Oh. And so, I had to do workarounds. So I did my best.
That's funny. Be like, I'll do more chores, I swear. My allowance can get cut. I don't care. I just want music.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. So once I started kind of playing guitar, I was like almost instantly in a band. I started playing 3 weeks in. I was like playing the intros to like Black Hole Sun, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Under the Bridge. There was like a bunch of songs I was able to within the first probably like 3 weeks, I was good enough to be in a band.
That's wild. Mm-hmm. It took me years, dude. I have such a scatterbrain mindset. I want to learn intros, but then I forget the intro and I'm like, fuck it. Whatever I remember, I'll just play it. But now I've tried to become more organized with it. So like when I play, I'm trying to play as close to the song as possible.
I think one of the differences might be is that in my time, I was thirsting for more.
Yeah.
And the access to it was limited, as to where you have an abundance of access to everything, and so therefore it's not as pertinent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was cool to learn chords when I first picked it up. It was just, let me just fuck around with this shit for a little bit, see what I can come up with, and then afterwards I was like, people want to hear songs. Now I got to figure out. Let me play Man in the Box. Let me play Enter Sandman. Let me play Wish You Were Here. Anything cool.
Well, because on the surface you would think that these are songs, but they're not. They're things in people's lives, memories and stuff. These songs invoke, emotion within people. Yeah. And that's why music is, so powerful and so big. And that's why, it's rare to find somebody that doesn't listen to any music at all.
Yeah, it's insane. I've had a handful of friends tell me they don't listen to anything. They just listen to whatever's on the radio and that's it. Or like they'll just sit at home in silence. I'm like, how can you do that? That just,
yeah.
I'd rather have like something playing in the background than nothing. It's dead air.
It's impossible, I think, for you to go through life without some type of melody getting stuck in your head. Whether it's from a game, a commercial, an actual song you like, or, you know what I mean? Something that gets stuck in your head.
It's funny you say that about the game, because the first time when a melody was stuck in my head, it all ties in. It was Halo. The intro theme to the Halo Combat Evolved game.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Halo 3, perfect. Halo 2 was the best one. Steve Vai with the guitar solos.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
It was insane. It was the most epic band experience I heard without a singer.
A funny song about that Halo theme was that I had written an original song with the metal band at the time. And so Halo came out when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
And so that like one part was like dan 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 dan. You know what I mean? I had this original part which was pretty much everything but the you know what I mean? And so it was this weird thing where like, most people feel like, oh, I wrote that, I more felt like, wow, you know what I mean? I wrote that before it came out. I'm heading the right direction of what people like and what does
what
sound
the music
good.
needs to be.
You know what I mean? What sounds good? Because what sounds good to me might not sound as good to somebody else. And so the fact that was such like a well-renowned song and game, and like I had written something maybe like 2 years prior, that was a big thing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Music from any sort of media that has stuck with me has been the basis of where I came from. The Halo theme, Star Wars,
sure.
And you name it, it's probably been stuck in my head.
Like because like sometimes when you're new to an instrument, you start to learn these like little themes and stuff, and they're not full songs.
Yeah,
but it's enough that you recognize it, and if you get good enough, somebody else recognizes it.
You're like, oh shit, no way, dude, you can play that. That's cool. Like somebody playing the national anthem on a guitar, that's pretty cool.
It is.
And then to go from there to playing Yngwie, Eddie, Zach Wild, like any of that, it's impressive to say the least. It's cool.
Yeah. And, Zach, he was a big influence on me, too. I had one of his bullseye guitars. I still do.
Yes.
And I had that in rotation for like 3 years. Yeah, definitely like those type of guitar players, aggressive. I went down the Steve Vai road and the Yngwie road and the Joe Satriani road and some of the lesser known ones, Sean Lane, been down the Buckethead road.
Buckethead.
And
that was a great concert. I love that.
That was a great concert.
That was good.
I did enjoy that.
apparently he came back around without the singer.
I know, and I wanted to go. I was going to try to get his tickets, but it just the scheduling was tough.
Dude, it's all good. I was impressed either way. He sounded fucking kick-ass when we seen him, dude.
It was awesome.
It was a impressive show. He was also one of my first guitar players that I started investing time and research into. I did his gear. I looked into his guitars. Like, I was immersed in the Buckethead lore, but I haven't looked into it in so long since going to see him. It's been a long time. Do you still listen to him often? Are you still jamming on his stuff?
Sure, definitely do. You know, what's cool is he's got a lot of like cool rock 30-minute like songs that I could just throw on in the background and you know, do my work and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, any other type of work I'm doing.
Yeah, it's just good background music to have.
It's awesome.
He's fucking
Ready Euphoric.
One of my favorite albums, I forget what the name of it is, but it's got Jordan on it.
Yeah.
That one is perfect.
So I think that's when a lot of people started to you know, pick up on who he was, because I remember playing Guitar Hero, and that was like a hidden track.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time I heard about it. I remember that song being, you know, awesome, sounding really cool.
That's like the Tom Morello kind of solo that was in Guitar Center. Guitar Center.
And then in the middle, it just goes into another direction where it's like straight. Where you're like, oh man.
Super shreddy.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I love those kinds of guitar players. They just came up with their own kind of style. Like Zach, for example, all of his guitars looked insane.
Well, that's why people, I think, when they ask me, who do you think the best guitar player is? I don't think there really is a best. I think that all the greats really contributed something.
Yeah.
And they're noted for that as such. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like Hendrix with his like double stops and his style of playing like that. You know, it's that left the mark. Does that mean he's the greatest ever? No, but he left something notable enough to be remembered as one of the greatest ever. You know, and same thing with David Gilmour. You know, his bending and soulfulness into it. See the greatest? Probably not. But again, left his mark. Same with Clapton. You know what I mean? Same with Randy Rhoads. Same with a lot of these guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I have a lot of admiration for the older guitar players. Like, I have a top 3 bands, and all of their guitar players are great, but there's always something that could be improved tonally. Like, I love the first Sabbath record. I hate the fucking guitar tone. Yeah. I'm not a fuzz guy. I like the idea of it, but I just don't like that sound. But
even Tony Iommi with the drop D tuning.
Yeah. He went 2 whole steps because of his fingers. He took banjo strings and was tuned to C sharp before anybody was. That was like the first insane moment in metal music history where it's like, oh shit, we're going low.
So a lot of these guys, what they did is they contributed something.
Yeah.
That's recognizable today. You know?
It's neat. And it's cool to see people's influence being shown as well. Because I follow a bunch of Zach Wild guitar pages, and there's kids that I've talked to who are all fans of Zach, met him, have stage play guitars, they do guitar videos every day, and I'm impressed. And I'm like, damn, I look like a jerk off. I should be doing more, but here I am now, doing my own thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you gotta, you know, the instrument is vast, and you know, and it's obvious because, like I'm saying, all these greats leave a mark, so they're all doing something different. You know what I mean? And it seems to be like there's almost this endless possibilities, as even you look at today's like Matteo Mancuso. It's you know, it's something different. So
he's the flamenco tapper guy, right? He's got that Yamaha.
I'm not sure the guitar he plays on, but he definitely has a unique style where he does play with his fingers as opposed to the pick, and you know, is able to get, you know, kind of like, you know, almost this type of motion with these, as well as up and down, and then on the fretboard as well. So yeah, I mean, he's, you know, incredibly talented, and you know, he has a unique style. As soon as you see him play, you're going to find that it's hard to find somebody else playing like that. Like all these guys. It's hard to find somebody else playing like Hendrix. Hard to find somebody playing like Page all in their time.
Yeah. Greta Van Fleet is like the closest representation to like a Page style, Led Zeppelin-esque band. And they get flack because they wear their influence on their sleeve. They love that 70s, late 60s, early 70s era. Yeah. All the psychedelic shit, all that fun rock and roll. It's awesome.
But, yeah, I mean, do what you love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what all the greats were doing. They were doing what they loved. Now they thought people wanted to hear or wanted to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just do what you love.
That phrase, just do what you love, it's powerful to some people.
Yes.
And it makes a difference of like telling someone you have to play this way. Yeah. That's putting rules on rock and roll. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And now like you get these bands that have gatekeepers, and it's like you can't play this because so and so did it like this. Fuck you. What if I did it a different way and it's still cool? Well, it works.
If your approach and your view of rules, if it changes from limitation to rather they're guidelines that if you stay within these, it will work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you can take a different approach on it and be more successful. And because you can know rules can be broken.
Right.
And that's what all the greats do. They break the rules.
And it changes the game. I mean?
But
it's a whole new environment.
Don't get it twisted. If you play within the rules, you can still be successful.
Yeah.
And still be good.
These early 2000s bands that are having a resurgence, they played by the corporate game. Sure. From what I have perceived and looking in like videos and just archival footage, everybody back in the day loved rock and roll. It went and did a complete 180, and now we're in hip hop, R&B, rap. Like it's a totally different vibe than what it used to be. Like back probably when you were a teenager, if they had a Super Bowl halftime show, it was rock or it was some crazy band. But now we have these insanely talented artists coming up on stage and just blowing the competition out of the water almost. It's like, holy shit, the times have changed. Mm-hmm. Is it harder? Here's the question I'm going to pose after this. Is it harder to be in a band now because artists that are solo and they don't have projects attached to them, is it becoming more difficult to start a band now because of that? Or just, do you think the idea of a band's not going to be a thing come the future with technology being the way it is too? You can digitally program a band.
Yeah, you could. But again, the what you can't digitally program is the essence, the true purpose of why you're there. You know, the reason people are there is because they're looking for something. And so it's the experience that they're getting and that you're relieving. They may have a job that they don't like. They may be in positions in life where they're not happy with. And, you know, in the moment of a performance, what you're doing is you're essentially in a doctor-like fashion, relieving the pain. You know, and now they're not worrying about these things that they're unhappy with. They're more engaged when let's have fun. And if they're with a few friends, they're probably having more fun. And, you know, so that's what you're doing. And you can't really digitally program that, you know, fully, you know. I get it. Video games are fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure if you think of the old games that you played, at times it could even be sentimental. But it's not as fully fulfilling, I think,
right,
as like just music and seeing like a live performance. And so, and with today, you brought up a good point about how the music is different. So as a band, you have to kind of, you know, if you want to play modern music, you have to use modern tools.
Yeah.
And a lot of bands fall short.
Sometimes it's, for my generation right now, especially with the way the economy is, it's hard to buy gear. I just saw that Orange has 3 new 100-watt micro heads. They're all solid state. They're perfect. I can use that in a rack mount. I can use that on top of a cabinet, and I can put it in a gig bag and just walk out the door. And they're $600. And I'm like, motherfucker, that's like half my paycheck right now. I'm beat.
Well, it's always been like that.
Yeah.
It's never not. You know what I mean? It's like the first computer, it took up a giant building. You know, and was millions of dollars.
Right.
And now everyone for thousands of dollars has their phone.
Yeah.
And it's replaced so many things. And so you look at these, you know, this new equipment that comes out, and you're like, oh man, that's $600. But in reality, it's probably replacing thousands of dollars
for sure
of what you needed in the past to achieve what this can achieve.
So
in some sense, you could look at it as this stuff is the most expensive it's ever been, or you could look at it as this is the cheapest it's ever been.
Which, that's a fair point. That's a really fair point. Because looking back now, there's amplifiers that I still look at, like the Soldano. $4,200, but it's a handcrafted, beautiful amplifier that was used by a couple of great guitar players. Eddie's a great example. He's a fucking Soldano freak back in the day.
Sure.
And when he got with Peavey, he made that tone available to the masses.
So when you look at it, this perception of or perspective, for $4,200, you can get a handcrafted, top of the line amplifier, so renowned by the designer that legendary people have sold him out to use his equipment for the low price of $4,200.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the buy-in price, dude. Sometimes you got to sacrifice it.
Now, back in the day, that'd be tens of thousands of dollars. Seek out a guy, have him make an amp just for you and stuff,
Yeah.
So just however you look at it.
That's how companies were started sometimes, dude. Some guy just walked in one day and said, hey, maybe this dude can help me out. And it blossomed from there. Mm-hmm. I think that's what happened with Mesa. The one dude who was building Mesa amplifiers, when his company grew from a size of this building to a bigger shop, Santana walks in and says, hey, I need an amplifier. The dude's a legend and only plays Mesa because he trusted one guy and walked in the right store at the right day.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Gear. I'm a gear nerd.
Yeah.
Personally, I love all of your shit. Every time I seen your stuff on stage, it's like, man, some of these pedals, I wish I started out with these instead of just buying all distortions because I was a distortion nerd. But looking back and trying to remember your gear, do you have favorite pieces of gear? Do you have favorite amps? Are you more of a combo amp guy, which I've seen on stage mostly, but do you have a favorite half stack that you used to play, or did you love the full stack idea? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so there was a long time where, I had run with Line 6, but when I first joined up with Line 6, the company was a lot smaller. And it was the big thing was I want to say when I first joined on, it would have been over 500,000 units sold. You know what I mean? Which in today's market's nothing.
Yeah.
But they were really revolutionary with their whole solid state stuff. So as I was younger, I was able to do that. And then they had another Line 6, which was pretty much all the Line 6 technology added with Bogner power amps.
Yes.
And
I see them on Facebook all the time, dude. I go on there looking at gear every other day of the week, and I would see a Bogner tube Line 6, and I'm like, I remember just seeing combos of them in Guitar Center.
So a big portion of it is a lot of times, you get the guy who buys the gear, but with almost any piece of gear, you can get the best and worst sounds.
Yeah.
And so there comes a skill level to be able to dial it in, so to speak. You know what I mean? So any gear that you buy, you want to try to do your best to dial it into its sweet spot so it sounds the best. And from that point on, if you're just not good at dialing it in, you might be wasting money on gear, thinking that the gear is the problem, when it's really not. It's the skill level dialing it in.
Yeah.
So, it goes back to an old saying, a great guitar player can make a cheap guitar sound good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A bad guitar player can't make a great guitar sound good.
Yeah. That's funny.
And so that's that's the approach you have to take with your gear.
I love that. I think that's the best way to put it. I just bought a really old PV solid state amp head, and I was trying to dial it in. And the day I bought it was the day I brought it to band practice, and after that there was nothing. And I'm like, fuck. I was so busy I couldn't fucking dial in a tone I like, so I just cranked a knob or two here and there, set it and forget it type deal.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I did early on, was really good at learned how to set the gear, get it to what I liked, and that made all the difference in the stuff I buy. So now when I buy gear, I'm not essentially buying gear because it looks cool or because I like it or because the video the guy showing me about it is, it's more, it's there's a need that I'm looking to fulfill. And so I look in that market for what that gear is doing. Then I do my best to do some research and then, try to go with what I think is the best selection. And then usually what I get is generally usable.
I've been more analytical about my research as well lately. I've realized that it's not, to me, the fun in the gear was just buying it in the store, not knowing what it was, and then bringing it home and playing it. Yeah. And then if it was cool, great. If it sucked, what am I going to do with it?
Exactly. So then you have to then either find somebody that else is willing to buy it or take a big haircut when you go back and sell it to the place you bought it at.
And I've done that many times, dude. I shot myself in the foot. But that's life.
It is.
You got to learn. Funny enough, I just applied to a Guitar Center, and as a tech.
For the tech, congratulations, man.
Yeah, I haven't gotten an email back yet, but I had an updated resume. Mentioned you in it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. If they give me a call, I'll definitely give you a good reference.
Yeah, dude. I'm pretty excited. I've been doing the tech thing for a little bit. I just got to the point where I can trust myself doing anything. And even with watching videos on Floyd's, I figure can't be that hard. It's all cool stuff. Yeah. I love teching too, dude. I like taking things apart now and looking at them. The pickups, I got a whole box of pickups from Stumpo. He's a friend of ours from the band. I haven't put him in any guitars yet because I don't know. I haven't found the one that needs those pickups.
Well, experiment, you know?
Yeah.
What you always have, you want to put yourself in a position where that even though you might not be ready for the big show, you need to be prepared. So you have to throw in the big show while you're at the little show. So that by the time you get to the big show, you're just bringing the same thing over.
Right.
So these first early pickups that you have, they were, given to you. And so the great advantage you have is you can experiment with them. And if they break or things go awry, you're not out money.
It's cool.
You know what I mean? You're not out money. Best to test on these ones. So this way, when you're ready to get the more expensive ones, you're already
prepared. The ear's already trained for it.
You're prepared.
I'm a big fan of EMGs.
Yeah.
How do you feel about them? I haven't seen you use them.
I haven't used them in a long time, but they are in some of my early guitars. And EMGs are popular for a reason.
Yeah,
a lot of guitarists like them. They can make old strings sound new. They have a lot of bite to them. They're great design, great pickup. If anybody ever asks for my recommendation, well, that's pretty much what they would be.
I'm the same way. I stuck with actives because my heroes stayed with actives all these years, especially. It's Gary Holt, Kirk Hammett, James Hetfield, Zach Wilde. That's it. Yeah. I stand by those guys, and if they say it's good, I'm happy with it. I'm an 81, 85 guy. Kirk and Zach there.
And I mean, you listen to a lot of like Zach Wilde's work, and his stuff sounds awesome.
Oh, it's perfect. I seen him in 2023 in Camden with the Pantera tribute. All of his guitars, his tone, it was spot on, dude. It was good. Sounded crisp. It was Zach Wilde, but it had a little bit of Dimebag in it. It was perfect.
So I do remember one of the Ozfest in, I don't know, it was probably late 2000s, early 2000 teens.
Shit, that dates you, dude.
Fucking
really A, man.
But I got to see Zach on stage with Black Label.
That's cool.
And then play with Ozzy that night.
That must have been a hell of a day for him, dude.
It was a hell of a day for me, I think. A little too much alcohol and pot that day because it's all blurred now. I wish I remembered that show more. Rob Zombie was there. And it was one of them incredible lineups, like 20 bands.
That's insane. I'm finally catching up. I'm finally catching up to all the old heads that are saying, you got to go see this band. I'm finally seeing Metallica this year.
Nice.
Finally seeing them. I've been waiting for it for many years now. I'm really excited for it.
Do you know you haven't seen them live yet?
Never. This is my first time. Dude, they're geezers. They're old. It's like fucking Ozzy getting back on stage with all of Sabbath. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And he's like, the Parkinson's took me legs. I gotta sit in a chair. It's like, fuck, dude. What's next? Is he gonna be in a table?
I would imagine he has enough money, so he must be missing the.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like
it goes to show, no matter how much money you have, you can't get back time, and that's why time is so important.
That's like Kiss. Kiss is doing the digital thing. That's what I was bringing up earlier. I wanted to mention this too, but we got sidetracked. But Kiss is doing a digital fucking screen show. They're not even a real band anymore. They're like having an image produced while they play music in the background. Branding. It's a 3-hour movie.
Branding.
It's Kiss.
Yeah, it's Kiss, right?
Dude, Kiss has been around for what, since the 70s?
Yeah.
50 years almost. That's impressive for a band to be still touring at their physicality and at their level. Because I think they made enough of their money in the 90s to like pay back everything that they fucking did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure of their financial situation, but I would imagine that they're well off.
Dude, Ace Frehley has a whole garage.
There's a local guitar maker, Jim Cara, that makes like a lot of stuff for Kiss and Lita Ford and stuff.
That's
like
neat.
the Kiss guitars that have the smoke that comes out of it and stuff. He's the designer for them. And,
that's neat.
It's really cool. He's a really great guitar maker, and he actually collaborated with the Pinto to make some of the guitars cool. That I like. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you this. What is your favorite brand of guitar? There's got to be a handful that you've played in the past, but what is like, if you had a choice to be with a company as an endorsee trying to promote for this brand, what would it be and who would it be?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So I have tried a lot of different guitars and stuff. And I guess I'd have to go by the guitars that I bought the most, which are, probably LTD.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Sweet. They seem to be a great workman's guitar. I had the EC 1000, and then they did like the 256s. And, for like $600, you throw a couple mods on them, they're good to go for a few years. Especially with hard like touring.
I am a big LTD guy, ESP freak. I've been dying for years to get my hands on a snakebite, but I managed to find a couple of Explorer style shapes from them that are perfect for me. Really utilitarian in that price point of your 256, and it's one pickup, one knob. It's ready to rock, dude. All I would have to do is just swap stuff and mod. Personally, I've been telling Ryan this: get an LTD. I've been begging him to get an LTD, man. And I sent him a Telecaster, the TE100.
Well, he does have the one Tele.
Yeah, he's got the one.
He hasn't used it in a while, and then he's got the SG.
That one's cool.
Yeah.
That one
was the PRS.
Fun. Yeah.
So he's kind of playing the field a little bit more.
Yeah.
But again, it all goes back to, the way I just buy equipment. I'm buying it to fulfill a purpose. And so when it comes to what I'm doing, which I'm in a cover band that plays everything from rock to country to pop and hip hop, and I have it modded with the GK3 MIDI pickup, running into synthesis that way. For me, that it's a great guitar, it's built well enough to take the road, and
it's what I would see as a future. It would be all tools. It's utilitarian work.
Yeah,
you buy it because you have to like it. You have to have a feel for it. If you don't like it and you're just playing it to play it, then it becomes bland.
Yeah, sure.
Going back to the cover band thing, I want to go back to when you and Ryan first started. When you guys did the 4-piece, when you guys were becoming a full-on band, who are the other members of the band? Because I know your current lineup is different from what it used to be.
Sure. So luckily over the 20 years, we haven't really had like a ton of member changes. But the band is GoodMan Fiske. My last name's GoodMan. Ryan's is Fiske. And so our first drummer was a girl, Julie, who I had played in a band with in my teens. And our first bass player was a kid named Drew. And Ryan had played with him a little bit. And so we had kind of going into the second year of GoodMan Fiske. I think the amount of work that we were getting versus what Drew wanted to do was too much. So Drew wanted to take a step back. So at that point, I think we replaced him with a guy named Ian. And Ian was with us for a few years. Julie was with us for maybe like a couple more months. After Julie, I'm trying to think, I think we might have went through like just a couple guys to help us fill in. That maybe did a few weeks or a few months there with us, but then we landed on another guy, John, and so then John was with us for about 10 years.
He was the steady man.
He was the steady drummer for like 10 years, locked down that spot, and then Ian was with us for about maybe 4. So we went through a couple other bass players. We had a couple fill-ins. Chris was a fill-in. This kid Ray was a fill-in for about maybe 8 months.
Right.
Another guy, Ryan.
The steady members that I used to hang around with, do shots with, and watch get all liquored up on stage. Alex and Anthony, they are characters. I love them dudes.
Yeah, great guys.
Alex, especially when he's jammed up, tuned up, ready to rock and roll, man.
He's a trip, right?
He's funny.
Wonderful energy.
What's it like working with Anthony? Because Baker has had a very interesting life as a booking agent, as a drummer.
Yeah,
you know.
So it's nice working with Anthony. He's been around longer than Ryan and I. He's older, and he had a band that was successful for a good 25 years or so. Kind of where Ryan and I are heading, obviously. And so it's been nice. He's done a lot of work with a lot of people, and he's a true pro.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoy having him along. He's a phenomenal drummer. He has a lot of equipment. He's really knowledgeable about drums, and he's techie in that aspect.
He has an entire brain. Like, there's a spot in his brain where it's just all drums. Every day.
Just pounding away.
He's got that
down whole wood.
Oh my God, he's breaking heads.
He's the only guy I'll talk wood with, dude.
Fucking A. Yeah, he's great. The last time I talked to him was I think the last gig I was at.
Yeah,
I think it was the last time I just seen him, hung out with him. But
he's busy. He's a booking agent. He runs an agency. He's a husband. He has grandkids, and
busy dude,
busy guy. You know what I mean? As we all are. I know, and he has his own agency as well. We all have the band on top of it all. Our own personal lives and own other businesses. I do other side work with like electricity and run a couple electric companies and stuff. So everyone's really busy. But everything's going really good. The band's been very successful, and this year is looking to be, one of the best years yet. And we're just thankful and grateful for everyone's help and support.
Yeah, dude. I'm happy to be involved with that journey in some way and still be here hanging out with you. It's fun
having you.
Talk to me about the GMF Palooza. I heard through the grapevine there's going to be some sort of event down in AC.
It's in the talks, but I'm not sure if it's going to go through. It might not. It might. It's up in the air at this moment. You know what I mean? I think they're trying to do stuff at the House of Blues. It was in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if everything is good on their end of where they were expected to be versus where we are. So I'm not really sure. I don't handle the bookings.
Gotcha. It's all good. I figured I'd just ask because I seen it and I was like, that would be a cool show.
As far as for a lot of the production, which is a lot more on my end, I do handle. I know Ryan has helped, kind of come a little bit, helping with the production. And we have another team member. His name is Lou, and he's going to be operating our cameras and
that's neat.
Recording. And so pretty soon we'll be streaming stuff as well.
Is that going to be like Facebook Live? Is that like TikTok Live?
I imagine we're going to probably go across a lot of platforms once we really get it going.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. That's neat. I've seen a couple of bands do that. There's a metal band that was local, and they would do Facebook Lives, and they would just perform. And I seen, this is the only reason why I found out about the show. They went Facebook Live, and then it went to Instagram Live because it ended. And a buddy of mine was playing on stage, and I didn't know it. But by the time I pulled up to the place, he was off the stage and the second band was already on. I'm like, no, shit, dude. He's like, you missed it. It's like, fuck. But yeah, it's got to be a trip going from like very underground-esque to now you're selling out bars. You got crowds of people coming in Wildwood. My father, when I told him about the 5,000 people crowd we had, he was in like flabbergasted. He's like, how did you get 5,000 people there? I'm like, I don't know. This band rocks. They go crazy. 5,000 people has to be a number that sticks in the back of your head. Are you looking to expand that number? Or are you trying to get it to the point where it's like you're playing to arena level styles?
I think the more people that find us and enjoy us and want to follow along, the better.
Yeah.
So there's really no expectation other than just to be better today than I was yesterday. And so when I'm at the shows, I do my best to always meet new people and talk to the people that I do know, and
networking. It's all networking.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, but it's also like these people are, you're obviously moving them to physically from where they are to be where you are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So to talk with them, get to know them, learn about them, become friends with them and stuff. That's my goal. obviously they're taking an interest into what I'm doing. And so it would only be fair for me to take an interest into them.
That's pretty impressive. I like that. Going back a couple of years, I found a CD in here when I was first hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
And there was an album with your name on it.
GoodMan Fiske, man.
I plugged it into the CD player and listened to all them tracks, and I go, holy shit, these guys wrote original music. When the fuck was I going to find out about this? I was asking Ryan about it, and he really shrugged it off a little bit. He's probably busy. Probably stoned out of his fucking mind and didn't want to talk, but it's all good, dude.
He does take an interest into the original side more than I do.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of the original stuff is more him than me. I know recently he did collaborate with a friend of his, Kenny, and they did an Eagles song.
Yeah, I've seen that.
On all platforms, they achieved over 1 million streams and views and stuff. So
that's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. Cool. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, were you ever at all interested in sticking with an original project? Were you going to ever try and do original music again?
A lot of the original music that I do write, I tend to keep to myself. I mean, I play a lot of shows, and so I put a lot on stage for people.
Yeah.
And there's just some stuff that I like just to kind of keep for me. And so, you know what I mean? A lot of times they're my original riffs and stuff like that. But I'm not really interested in organizing, arranging, and putting together full pieces of music,
Right.
It just doesn't really interest me as much at this age.
Yeah, I can see that. Right now, creatively, I'm at the point where I just want to write songs every day. I have videos of me just playing for about 1.5 minutes. And I'm like, that's my song. Then I can just copy and paste another riff into it and then be done.
So I prefer more to work on technique or get deeper in the music theory when I'm playing and stuff. That's more what's enjoyable. So since I've been playing guitar since I was 16, I'm 39 now. I've learned a lot. I probably forgot that more people will learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How much I've, went through with it. So I prefer now just working on technique and stuff that interests me, because I understand the guitar and just how it's built and how it works.
Sounds like I got to come over for a lesson again. I got to get back into it, dude. My left hand's killing me. The left hand's just, I'm into the crazy, goofy, heavy metal shit that's old school, but to me it hits home.
Yeah.
I love simplicity in riffs. I love songs that are good and catchy. Sure. Breaking Benjamin, for example, they're an old band, and that was the first heavy metal project I listened to, and Blow Me Away was the first song that caught my attention. It was in Halo, again.
Yeah.
Back to the video game thing. But that intro riff, the bow, wow, wow, bow, wow, wow, first time I heard about the whammy pedal being used in music. And then you go to, oh my God, Killing the Name Of. The wah pedal on that too, and then his whammy techniques, they're insane.
Sure.
It's impressive to see although it's original music, like I was getting at before, but it's impressive what it has impactfully, what it does to people over time. I look back on that memory fondly, listening to that song everywhere. It's just a trip creative wise. I love the idea of making original stuff, but in your end, technique is also extremely important, which is what I lack. I got to get better at that so I can have more finesse.
Well, it's just what interests me,
Yeah.
So I like to focus on the technique, and then we learn the cover songs, but I tend to put my own twist on them and stuff.
And that's what people want to hear. My buddy, he and I had a conversation. He's like, dude, even if you wound up doing covers, just do it your way. I think people would love it. And I'm like, that's up to the people. And then you let the people decide if they like it or not. If they start walking away, it's like, all right, well, that didn't work.
They'll let you know.
Oh, yeah. It's for sure.
Most importantly, you got to love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's hard. How can other people love it if you don't?
Right. If you're not showing that emotion that you enjoy.
That you enjoy. Mm-hmm. And and so that by me, I really enjoy technique and expanding and getting my reps in and stuff. And so then when I'm playing, songs on stage, I can incorporate that into it, because the people are there in live person. So
yeah, dude, it's cool. And it's awesome to see cover bands doing this and having such a following like you guys have. It's impressive. It's insane to see it. Again, the 5,000 people in Wildwood.
Well, it didn't happen overnight.
No, it can't. There's no way.
Yeah. So GoodManFiske.com.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to GoodManFiske.com. There's merch and stuff like that, isn't there? You guys can
Yep, you can go. You can contact us through the website. There's merchandise up there. Our schedule's up there. And we're on all social media platforms as well. Just search GoodMan Fiske and you'll find us Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff.
Cool. I got nothing else for you, man. This is a great time.
I appreciate
great
you having me.
Yeah, dude. This is a big moment for us. I'm pretty excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Pretty good. Help promote the band.
Yeah.
Get more people out there. People my age, they need to hear Creed more. You gotta be listening to some more Creed, I'm telling you. As much as I love Korn, Creed's pretty good too.
My goal is hopefully if they come out that there's something that we do that they enjoy, you know?
Yeah, maybe next time I can hop up on stage with you too.
Always.
Rock out.
Yeah.
Have a good time. Well, all right, dude.
Thanks again, Luke.
I'll catch up with you. We got to get rolling.
Appreciate it.
Peace, dudes.
Take care, guys.